just taking in all that silliness and all that joy and the feeling of a brand new day. Just breathe that in. Breathe in that sunshine, that warmth that this brand new day is bringing. Knowing that we are surrounded by the love and the warmth and the sunshine that is the light of spirit. That light, that presence, that energy, which is everywhere, in every time. It is with us in each and every moment because it is in us in each and every moment. We are here to be its expression. And I'm just so grateful this morning for each and every expression of this divine light, this divine love, who is joining into this service at whatever time and place. I know that Reverend Leah's message this morning brings light, brings easement as we discover what being pushed by pain means and how we can maybe be pulled by something greater than being pushed by that pain. I'm grateful for each heart and each hand and each mind who joins in to make this service possible, to bring it to you over the airwaves so that we may all gather in this energy of spirit as a community, sharing that energy, sharing that love, sharing that warmth, not only between ourselves as a community, but out into the greater world, because that is truly what makes the world a better place. And so just breathing that all in, feeling to the very core of my being, and hopefully to the very core of your being, that you feel that light, that love, that warmth, and that joy, and being grateful for all of it. We just affirm it by saying together, and so it is. Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Jimmy. So let's harmonize our hearts and our minds as we do every Sunday, placing our hands over our hearts, taking a deep breath. Feels so good to breathe deeply. And let's say these words together: care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. So, you know, when I started my spiritual journey, I remember beginning my path and someone saying to me that it was going to be painful. And I thought, what the heck? That doesn't make sense to me. It's about joy. It's not about pain. What are you talking about? Well, as I started my journey and as I got into it, some things started to bubble up, things that I thought I had healed, but I had really only scratched the surface of them. And so I discovered that I needed to do a little more work. I naively thought that it was just supposed to be, the spiritual path was supposed to be about meditating and oming and some other woo-woo stuff. And how hard could that be? I thought. Yeah, well, I uncovered some stuff. And I did uncover a lot, actually. Some joy too, of course, but there was some pain there. There was some pain that needed to be addressed, that needed to be faced. You know, and when we're on the spiritual path, the reason why it brings that up is because we go into the stillness, we go into those contemplative spaces, we drop more fully into our heart. And that's when we realize that there are things that need a little more attention, that need some healing. But it's a good thing. Even though it's painful, it can actually be a good thing. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Pain is part of the human experience. It's part of it. We can't escape it. We want to avoid it, but we really can't. It's not possible to avoid the pain. It breaks us open if we let it. It's the pain that pushes us to make changes in our life, does it not? If we want a pain-free existence, we have picked the wrong place to be. Yeah, this is not it. And if you think though about your life, you think about the challenges that you've experienced, that you've had to face, think about how each one of them have actually catapulted you forward. Each one has moved you forward in your life. If I asked each one of you about the pain that you've experienced in your life, I bet you'll also have a story of how it's transformed you. Our pain pushes us. It nudges us. It taps us on our shoulder. It even hits us with what's called a cosmic 2x4. Those moments when we're forced to wake up to something that we had been ignoring for too long. The universe comes along and wakes us up in sometimes a not so pleasant way. And it always feels like it came out of nowhere. But actually, we had been receiving taps on the shoulder and nudges all along. We may just not have been listening or paying attention. Michael Bernard Beckwith says that the pain pushes until the vision pulls. The universe pushes us to create a vision that is greater than the pain. When we're in the midst of emotional pain, it feels like it's never going to go away at times. And it's hard to imagine or see a future, a positive future filled with possibilities and potential when the pain is right in our face. But the pain is what gives birth to something new. And sometimes that birthing process is messy. I love what Mililani Trask said. A difficult birth does not make a baby less beautiful. When we're in the midst of pain, it means that something is trying to come through us. It's trying to be born. We can't see what's unfolding in our life, but the pain is a sure sign that something big is happening. When career clients come to me, often they come because they're in this horrible, painful situation at work. They want to get out of it desperately. Their confidence has plummeted. They're feeling discouraged and hopeless. And I say to them that their experience is a gift. And that's when they look at me like I have three heads. But I explain to them that what they're going through and the pain that they're experiencing is actually pushing them to make change in their life. It's pushing them to get the help that they need and to come in and say, I don't know how to do this. How do I move forward? The pain is a gift because it gives birth to new desires. It helps us to look at what's possible for our life and to see the potential that is there, because it is there. We may just not be aware of it at the time. And there are times when we experience emotional or physical pain for long periods of time. Probably most of us, every single one of us, have experienced that. And it's exhausting. And all we want to do is for it to just end, to just go away. We want to push it away. We resent it, and we may even feel shame about it being there. It shows up uninvited. But if we're willing to stop and take a breath and tune into it, whether we're experiencing mental or emotional or physical pain, it's showing up as a wise and wonderful teacher. It's saying, slow down, listen closely. I have a message for you. But often we're so busy resenting it, fighting it, pushing it, judging it, we can't recognize what's trying to come through. As humans, we don't like pain very much, and we'll do whatever we can to avoid it. The universe, though, is always conspiring for our highest and our greatest good, which means it's guiding us to exactly what we need in every moment to make the changes necessary to carry us forward, to catapult us forward. It's not the joys in our life that wake us up, it's the pain. It pushes us and it pushes us until it breaks us open. As spiritual seekers on the path, we've all read enough books and participated in enough workshops and seminars and heard spiritual talks to understand pain and to navigate it in a healthy way. But yet our humanness still wants to avoid it, does it not? There's this fear, I think, that all of us have deep down. We're afraid of the pain. We're afraid of the unknown. Inspiring author and speaker Glennon Doyle asked some powerful questions about pain. How would our lives and our relationships and our world transformed if we stopped being so afraid of pain? The next question she asks is, what if we stopped hiding from it and instead allowed our pain to become our power? Such great questions to think about and reflect on. Our pain gives us access to our passions and our purpose and our greatest potential. It's our pain that opens the door to these parts of ourselves that so desire to be expressed. There is a direct connection between our pain and our passions. If you think about some of your passions in your life, many of them have come from pain. Something you experienced that was painful or something you witnessed that was painful, and suddenly that passion rises up. Some of the major things that have taken place in this country, the movements that have happened, came out of pain. When pain comes knocking at the door, it's tempting to pretend that no one is home You know how we do that? We don't want to answer the door, so we go in the next room until they go away and stop knocking. And when pain comes, we do that. We move into the next room. We move down to the basement so we don't have to hear the knocking and just wait till it goes away. But if we ignore it, it will keep knocking. That's the difference here about pain. It's going to keep coming back to the house. It's going to keep knocking on the door until eventually we invite it in, ask it to sit with us, and teach us everything it knows. I have noticed that we're not only afraid of our own pain, but also the pain of others. When someone is hurting, we immediately want to fix it. We want to change it. We want to help them. Because we're all connected, we feel the pain of humanity. We feel the pain, particularly of those we care about. And so it's hard to witness it and to not want to change it or fix it or make it better. Years ago, my ex-husband and I went to therapy to work on some issues. And in every session, I would cry. I'm an emotional person. I feel deeply. I feel easily. I cry. I was crying in the sessions. We'd leave the session and I would still be emotional and crying. After the third session, he said to me, I'm not going back because every time you cry, it's not helping. And I said to him, the tears are part of my healing. It's a necessary part of my healing. It's not something to be afraid of. Well, he never went back. And every time I would cry when we'd get into an argument or have some kind of situation, an argument of some kind, and I would cry and get emotional, he would leave the room. How often do we do that? How often do we, figuratively speaking, leave the room when the pain gets to be too much? Whether it's something we're dealing with within ourselves or something we're witnessing in the world or with someone else in our life. We have a hard time being with it. Sometimes on a spiritual journey, we do what's called a metaphysical or spiritual bypass, which is the tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices and principles to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved pain. Every one of us on a spiritual path has likely done this at one time or another because we just didn't want to face it. And it sounds something like this. We're maybe feeling something heavy. We're going through something heavy in our life. And really all we want to do is cry. But we say to ourselves, you know what? Instead, I'm going to just focus on love. I'm going to focus on light. I'm going to focus on my joy. I'm going to go into meditation and just focus on that. Or when someone else is in pain, we'll say to them, just take some deep breaths. Just focus on peace. Focus on joy and happiness. This can be really damaging when we do this, whether it's to ourselves or others, because there's a reason the pain is there. There's a reason why it's coming up in us. And when we do a spiritual bypass, we're attempting to sidestep it. We're attempting to go around it. But the only way out is through. I'm going to say that again. The only way out is through. Now, some of you right now are hating that I said that, but that is the truth. We have to feel it in order to heal it. We have to feel all that's there. Our spiritual practices can support our healing, but they shouldn't be used as a way of sidestepping it or going around the pain. And only we know when we're doing that. So it's a good idea to check in with ourselves, to ask the question, am I using my spiritual practices as a way of avoiding my pain? Am I using my spiritual practices as a way of avoiding my pain? When pain arises, our inner self is saying, hi, how's it going? I'm right here. You need to look at this part of your life. I know you thought that you healed this 20 years ago, but here's another layer. Here is another layer to look at. Or I know that you've got this physical issue, but you need to look deeper. There's something much deeper there that is more than just the physical pain that you're experiencing. Pay attention. There's a message here for you. So that's what that nudging is. That's what that inner self, that wise inner self is saying to each of us in those moments. Recently, a layer snuck up on me when I least expected it. I thought I had healed this particular thing many years ago, and here it is showing itself to me. And it's knocking. It was knocking on my door, and boy, did I want to ignore the knocking. I wanted to just run down to the basement and pretend I couldn't hear the knocking. But instead, I invited it in for tea and to show me everything it knows. Here's something to remember, something that I remind myself of frequently. We all signed up for deep work in this life. It's why we are here. We didn't sign up to sleepwalk through this life, through this existence. You would have never found your way to a spiritual path or this teaching if you didn't on some level say, I want to awaken here. I want to grow. I want to expand my consciousness. You may not have used those words, but because you're here, on some level you said that. On some level, you made that commitment, you made that declaration to yourself and to your life. Jeshua in The Way of Mastery says, what if the very life you are living and each and every experience was being directly sent to you by God? Because God knows what is necessary to unravel within your consciousness, to allow you to awaken. What if the very things you are resisting are the very stepping stones to your homecoming? What wonderful questions he asks. What if the pain you're experiencing right now in your life is the key to unlocking something extraordinary within you? What if? If we stopped resisting the pain, we shift from being pushed by the pain to being pulled by a vision. And we do this by reaching our hand out to the pain. We stop to recognize that the pain that we're experiencing is part of our journey in this life, divinely designed to help us to awaken. We weren't meant to experience only joy in this life. The sadness and the pain, as Abraham Hicks says, creates the contrast for new desires to be born. Life is a mix of the light and the dark. We need both. Both are a gift. Pema Chodron said, someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift. So let's all join together and be courageous enough to invite in the pain when it's knocking at our door, and trust that it's part of our awakening. It's part of our soul's journey in this life and has so much to teach us. As the pain pushes you, stop resisting. Receive it as a gift. It may not be wrapped in a pretty package with a beautiful bow, but it is a gift. The darkness is a gift as much as the light is. So let it in. Let it open you. Jeff Foster, a great metaphysical teacher and healer, says, we see healing and wholeness as a destination, as a place to get to, like enlightenment. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, they come to you as your children, not because there is something wrong with you, but because they come to you for love and to rest in your vastness. Fear, anger, sadness doesn't come to you to be healed. They come to you to be held. This is such a beautiful reminder of what our sadness and our pain needs from us. It's asking something of us, like a child. It's asking to be held. It's asking us to bring it up on our lap and hold it and love it and talk to it. Those parts of ourselves that are in pain are just like children asking to be held and loved. If a child came to us who was in pain, we wouldn't push them away. We wouldn't say, leave the room. We would invite them up on our lap and we would put our arms around them and we would hold them. And we would remind them that they're not alone in this life and that they're loved. An interesting thing happens when we hold our pain like a child, when we allow it to be there, when we are able to just be with it without judging it, fixing it, or pushing it away. It then can transform. It can begin to transform when we allow it to be there. However it looks, however it feels, however messy it is, it can then begin to transform once we can be with it. The pain is asking for us to tune into it, to take a deep breath. So let's do this now. Closing your eyes for a moment, dropping into your heart, taking some deep breaths and bring into your awareness whatever pain that you are experiencing right now in your life. Take a deep conscious breath as you bring your awareness to that pain, whether it's physical or emotional or mental. Invite it in. Bring it up on your lap and hold it. Ask it what message it has for you. And the message may come right away, or it may come later today or another time. Trust what comes, but ask it, what message do you have for me right now? Pain wants to move. It doesn't want to remain stuck or stagnant. It can be painful, but again, the only way out is through. Rumi said, the cure for pain is in the pain. We have to be willing to step into it. Dip our toe in, and then maybe our foot, and then our legs, and the rest of our body. It can be a slow process. We don't have to dive in, but take one small step toward it. The pain is beckoning us to take its hand. And although we may be shaking and afraid, the divine is there too, encouraging us and cheering us on and saying, I'm right here. I'm right here with you. You're not going to fall. All of us have this inner wise self, the divinity within us that is assisting us on this journey, on this life that is filled with ups and downs. It will guide us through pain. It will tap us on the shoulder. It will nudge us in different ways. It will guide us to pull a book out of our bookshelf at the perfect time. And we'll turn to the perfect passage with the message that we most need to read and contemplate right now in our life. That's what that inner wise self does. We need to remember that so much good can come from our pain. The only reason we can experience great joy is because we know the pain of deep sorrow and sadness. Our joy comes from the pain. Our awakening comes from the pain. What's possible for our lives and our potential comes from the pain. If we're brave enough to allow ourselves to feel it, to feel the disappointment, to feel the rage, to feel the deep sadness, to feel it all, there is so much that is available to us if we're brave enough to just feel it and to be with it. We can't move through it without feeling it fully. We give ourselves such a gift when we have the courage to invite the pain in and ask it to sit down with us and join us for tea. Now, if the pain is too scary for you right now, know that there are angels on this earth. There are angels in this community who are available to assist you, who are available to be your companion through this pain and support you. Our amazing and extraordinary practitioners and us as ministers are here to support you. This year has been brutal for so many people in ways that I don't think many of us even understand or can comprehend right now. We weren't meant to do this life alone. We're not supposed to just suck it up and quickly change our focus to love and joy and move on with a smile. That is not what we're supposed to be doing. That's a spiritual bypass. Trust this life. Trust what is being shown to you. Trust the pain, for it indeed has so much to teach you. Be brave enough to answer the door and let it in. So let's just take a deep, conscious breath right now as we move into prayer. And so right here, right now, in this moment, in this sacred time, this sacred place, I know and affirm that that divinity, that power, that peace, that light, that love, that is spirit, that is God, that is that creative force, it moves through all things. That same divinity that is contained in all things is contained within each of us. That wise self is tapping us on the shoulder. It is what has guided us to receive this message today. That wise self is supporting us on this journey of releasing and moving through and healing the pain that is there. I am knowing that as we do that, as we have the courage to step into it, I am knowing that it is moving us to that next and extraordinary thing in our life. I am knowing that we are able to move through this pain, whatever it is that we are experiencing, with grace, with support, with love. And what is available to us on the other side is our greatest potential. Is more joy than we could ever imagine. And so I am knowing that each of us are moving, are stepping in, moving through it. And with gratitude for all of this, we feel that in our heart, we feel that in our being, we feel what is possible for our life right here, right now, as I speak these words. And so we let this go. We hand it over to Spirit that always says yes, without pause, without prejudice. It always says yes. And so as we show up, God shows up. And so with that, we release it, we let it go. And we simply say, and so it is. Amen.